Hey guys, Brad here. Today we're going to take a look at Milwaukee's transfer pump. This is their stick transfer pump. And I had just one problem with this thing, and I'm going to get to that in a second. We'll just go over the quick overview of the specs on this. So it's roughly 48 inches long from bottom to top. It's on the M12 system. It hooks up to a garden hose with a 3/4 inch connection right here. Super easy to turn on. You've got the on-off button up here. It's just one simple slide and that's it. We've got the power meter here, and it takes a M12 battery. So this is a XC 4.0. They say you can pump up to 275 gallons on one of these batteries. So that's really impressive. I have pumped this thing for a really long time. I gotta say, I do absolutely love this tool. I think it's awesome. This thing will pump up to 9 gallons per minute. It'll also pump to a max head height of 15 feet. So what that means is if I've got this down in a hole and I've got a hose coming up, I can go 15 feet high and water will still come out of it. So we've dug this huge trench in this property from the house out to the property line, and we're putting in new services of water and sewer. However, scheduling conflicts, the actual plumbing company that was coming in to do the alley work postponed. So what's happened is we've got some rain, this thing is filling up with water, and I want to get the water out so we're not fully saturated. I just want to keep it as dry as possible, essentially. So I thought I would get this and see how it worked in that scenario. Now you can see the water coming out of this garden hose. It's just trickling out. It's not as impressive as I thought it would be, but keep in mind I am 12 feet down. This is more designed, I think, for a level surface, or maybe only rising up 6 or 8 feet and not 12 to 15 feet. Even though they say they can do it, it's not going to be as fast as it is when it's more on a level playing field. Here's where I run into my problem. All right, I had a ditch that I was pumping water out of, and it was trickling out. So it's not pouring out like it does when you just stick this in a bucket of water or into a hole, and it just gushes out of here like crazy at that 9 gallons per minute. It's very impressive. But as soon as you put a hose on this, you're gonna have a problem. It's not gushing out as fast as you like. So you might wanna get a sump pump with a larger diameter hose or something like that. But this is the problem I had with it. The hole I was in was all clay. There was no gravel. So what was happening was the clay was super soupy and was getting sucked in here and bogging down the pump. I know this thing can handle water in a bucket, in an area that has gravel, but as soon as you get into an area that has really high amounts of clay and there's no stone at all, and that clay is saturated in the water, and you actually start pumping some of that clay through here, it's not going to work. It's going to bog right down. This thing turned off instantly. It just would not pump water. So my workaround was I took a bucket, I drilled a bunch of holes in it, I shoved that in the ground. I even put some screen in there so it would allow the water to come through and filter out some of those larger clay pieces, or at least that thick slurry of clay. Something to really consider where you're going to use this. For me, I think this tool is invaluable. It is such an awesome tool to have in your arsenal if you're a plumber, if you're a renovator like myself, and you're constantly coming across water, filling up in ditches or even floods. Let's say your basement floods. This thing will suck up water, no problem. On the bottom here, I'm going to unscrew it so you can take a look. You can see I've got a bunch of the clay still stuck in here. I've got to give this a good hose with my pressure washer. But you take that off, and there we have the pump. It just spins around and sucks that water up. It's super impressive. You have sort of a multi-layer diffuser area to keep, debris and stone out, which is nice. However, I did find with that soupy clay, it just doesn't work. The holes, if you look through there, are quite small. So the idea is you submerge this in the water, and even at that depth, only a 1/2 inch depth, it's still going to suck the water up. It still wants to pull it up. So it's quite an impressive little pump. So I would recommend this definitely to plumbers. If you're going into a renovation and there's a bunch of water in your trench, this is great. If you're digging ditches and you get some water in there, definitely this will work. Just keep in mind, if it's really soupy clay, you're going to have issues. So you might want to make a bucket like I did and stick this in that bucket. The other thing is for floods, if you've got low areas, even in your backyard or something like that, you want to get water out quick, this is a great emergency tool. One reason why I love this tool so much is because I can slap a battery in here and I'm good to go. I just have to grab my garden hose, hook it up, and I'm done. With a sump pump, you've got to plug it in. You got to grab your 2-inch pipe, which is probably, you know, not as accessible as a garden hose. You got to clamp that on there. You got to make sure it's submerged at least 2 or 3 inches before it's going to work. And most sump pumps have that float on it, so you got to hold that float up. That's not ideal for a flooding situation. They're great if you've got catch basins or things like that where they're just set up and good to go. But for emergency situations, I really like this stick pump. I think it's fast. With a 15-foot height for pumping, you can just throw a garden hose on this, stick it in the basement. Let's say you got a flooded basement, and you can throw the hose out the window. Now, typically a basement window is, you know, 5 to 6 feet high. Some of them are a little higher, but you know, 8-9 foot ceilings, the bottom of your window is pretty low if you've got an egress window. This thing is perfect for cleaning out those basements. If you're setting up a sump pump system and you're getting water coming in, you could use this. So I think if you're in the construction business, you're on the Milwaukee platform like myself, especially the M12. I love the M12 stuff, guys. You know, as you've seen in my videos, I've got a lot of M12. Absolutely love it, but this is definitely something to have in the arsenal. All right, guys, so overall, I absolutely recommend this tool. I think it's awesome, you know, for getting yourself out of jams, or if you're doing the type of work where you're coming across lots of water and holes, it's perfect. Just don't use it in clay. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. What do you use this the most in? Do you have one? Till next time, guys, keep on crushing it, and we'll catch you later.